Hey Fundraiser, I'm Mary Petersen, and this is Hey Fundraiser, the podcast for development professionals who are done guessing and ready to build a major gift program that actually works. Every week, I bring you the tactics, the language, and the real-world strategy to close bigger gifts, deepen donor relationships, and lead with confidence. Whether you're a one-person shop or a seasoned major gift officer, if you're ready to stop hoping and start engineering, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Hey, fundraiser. So here is a question that I get pretty regularly. And I want to start with a story because I think it just really sums up the answer to this one question quite beautifully, actually. So the question is, what is the difference between a fundraising consultant and a fundraising coach? And as you know, I am a hardcore major gift coach. I love helping people get in the door. I love helping them identify the right people. I love celebrating successes, even the small wins. I love role playing with them and helping them ask for a gift and get comfortable and like all the things. So I want to tell you a quick story about Anna. Anna was a young fundraiser, maybe 25, and she was just fantastic. She was working in healthcare and she was really spreading her wings when it came to, major gift work. Well, she was working this couple. They had been on her cultivation list. We had literally step by step crafted the perfect relationship rhythm through the cultivation process. So with this couple, we had really implemented permission-based fundraising. At every step, we had asked for permission to do the next thing, and then we would do the thing, which built up a lot of trust and all the things. Okay, so it was time to ask this couple for a gift. She had permission to ask for a gift. At the last meeting, Anna said to this couple, next time we meet, I would like to talk to you about a gift. I understand the change you want to make in the world, and this project that we have for you is really going to help you realize that. And so everything was aligned. They knew the ask was coming. Anna, we had been preparing for weeks, and then I get a call. And it was like 5 till 3 in the afternoon. And I knew that her meeting was at 3. So I pick up the phone, and Anna is about in tears. I can hear her shaking. And she said, I cannot go in. I cannot go in. I'm in my car. I'm outside in their driveway. I cannot get out of this car. I don't want to go in there. I don't want to ask for this gift. I'm just freaking out. So I said, Anna, sweet Anna, everything is fine. You have permission. You have built this relationship. They know the ask is coming. We've built a beautiful, one pager for them. Like everything is fine. And we were just kind of talking through things, and I'm calming her down, and oh my gosh, they're now looking out the window at me. Okay, Anna, they've now seen you. We need to get out of the car and go in and ask for this gift. And we talked for just a couple more minutes, and she said, okay, I'm going to do it. I said, okay, I want you to call me the second you walk out of that house. And she said, okay. So she walked in and she closed a $250,000 gift. $250,000. This couple was primed. They said yes. There was no hesitation. There was no objections. They didn't say, oh, let us think about it. No. She had done all the right things. The reason I tell you this story is because that's really what a coach does. Any one of my coaching clients could call me if they're sitting in the driveway of a donor and they're freaking out. That's the best time to call me because I'll walk you through it. A pretty typical consultant doesn't do that kind of work. So that, to me, that was like the easiest way to explain it, was to share that story of Anna, who, by the way, is now like a crazy, amazing, successful major gift officer. So a consultant will help you build the roadmap. A coach gets in the car with you, right? So you might need a consultant to help you with really large strategy, capital campaign, things like that. The coach is going to be in the car going down the road with you. And both dramatically improve your fundraising results. They just solve very different problems. And if you're a nonprofit leader trying to decide where to invest your money, or you are a fundraiser trying to figure out what kind of support you actually need, understanding this makes a big difference. Okay, so let's talk about a fundraising consultant. A consultant usually works at the organizational and strategic level. Maybe your organization's thinking about a capital campaign and you need to understand, like, are we ready for this campaign? How much could we realistically raise? What should the campaign goal be? Do we have the right leadership? Do we have the right people on the bus and the right seats? Does the board understand its role? Do we have enough prospects? Is our case for support compelling? What should the campaign structure look like? That is consulting. A consultant might also do like a development assessment. They might look at your staffing structure, your database, your pipeline, your board engagement, your systems, and like your overall development operation. And they would come back to you and say, oh, here's the gaps. Here's what you need to change. Here are some priorities. Here's a strategy I would recommend. That outside perspective is incredibly valuable, especially because sometimes you're so close to the organization that you can't see the problem anymore. And this happens, and it's a painful thing that this happens. You might be saying, like, oh, we need to implement this. We need to do this. We need to do this. And it kind of falls on deaf ears. Well, when a consultant says it, the board's like, oh, we should do this. And you think, oh my gosh, I've just been saying this for the last 2 years. But sometimes a consultant can walk in and say things that you can't say. They can walk in, look at your entire fundraising operation with fresh perspective and fresh eyes. They can help you answer these big picture questions. And that is really, really, really important work. But then Monday morning comes and somebody still has to call Bill the donor. And that is where coaching is very different. So coaching almost, with me and my coaching, it happens prospect by prospect. So a fundraising coach is much more shoulder to shoulder. Like, we are working in the day-to-day reality of major gift fundraising, not just, oh, here's a finding. Your major gift program is weak and your organization needs to develop stronger major gift relationships. Okay, that is great, but with whom and how, and what are you going to do this week to make that a reality? A coaching conversation would be more like, Mary, I have this donor. She's been giving $1,000 a year for the last 6 years. We think she has significantly more capability to give, but I haven't met her and I'm really struggling to get in the door with her. Okay, now we have something to work with. We can look at the prospect. What do we know about her? Why does she give? Who does she know? These are like the things that we would sit down and talk through as a coach. Like, what's the benefit of sending an email versus a phone call? And what are you going to say on that phone call? What are you going to say in that email? Like, these are the coaching elements. And there's an accountability component to coaching that I think is incredibly important. Most major gift officers do not have like an information problem. They know they need to call donors. They know they should get out of the office. They know they should ask for meetings. They know they need to ask for gifts. The problem is that major gift work is very easy to avoid because there's always something else to do. There's always an email to answer. There's a report I got to run. We're working on this big event, so I'll just focus all my time on that. Or, I've got a staff meeting to go to. I have a proposal that I'm going to write for the 18th time. And then suddenly it's Friday afternoon and you haven't actually talked to one donor that week. A coach helps prevent that. Coaching creates accountability. There's something powerful about knowing that somebody is going to ask you next week, oh, how did it go with Susan? How did your phone call go with Bill? Did you make any progress with Jamal? Like, did you call her? Did she respond? What did she say? What did you learn? Let's talk about the next move. So major gift fundraising is fundamentally about movement. I want to know, like, who are we trying to get in front of? Who are we trying to qualify? Who are we cultivating? Who needs a different strategy? Like, we are in the work. Now, one of the biggest areas where coaching helps is simply getting that very first meeting. If you've identified someone who could be a terrific major gift prospect, a lot of people, a lot of fundraisers are like, okay, now what? And this is where like generic advice is usually like, oh, just go build a relationship. Awesome. I would never say that to you. Like this is the kind of work we do in coaching where we're going to look for a warm introduction. We might develop an email together that is completely different than what a normal email you would send is. We might figure out that what this person cares about and create a reason for them to engage. We might practice the phone call together. We might decide that your first three approaches have been a little bit too transactional and completely flip the script on the strategy. And this is where I love. Hey, fundraiser, before you sign up for another fundraising conference where you might leave with a good tote bag but zero strategy to raise more money, let me invite you to Major Gift Momentum. This is my private coaching group where you'll get weekly coaching calls with me, access to my full major gift curriculum, and a community that's actually moving the needle. Major Gift Momentum isn't based in theory, it's based in action. Members are closing 5 and 6 figure gifts within 3 months of joining. Heather just closed a $245,000 gift. Jacelyn just closed a $212,000 campaign gift. And Georgette just got a $500,000 commitment. All within 3 months of joining Momentum. Each of these Momentum members didn't think the donor would give that much, but once I taught them my method, they are raising money at a whole new level. So would you like in, fundraiser? If you do, go to heyfundraiser.com/momentum and let's get started. Creative cultivation. Cultivation doesn't mean, oh, let's have a lunch. There are so many interesting ways to bring a donor closer to the mission. Could they meet someone doing the work? Could they see something behind the scenes? Could you ask for their advice? Could you invite them into a conversation around a problem that your organization is actually trying to solve and stuck on? Could you connect them with another donor who shares similar interests? So the goal is really not activity for activity's sake. The goal is movement. The goal is always deepening the connection between this person and the organization. Then there's actually having the meeting, right? So you finally get the meeting. Awesome. Now, what are you going to do with it? This is another huge part of coaching. I probably spend 4 hours a day talking to people about how to get closer to the gift. Like, what is the goal of this meeting? What do you want to learn? Like, let's talk about the questions that you're going to ask so that we really understand this prospect. What do we already know about this person and what does the next successful step look like? Because just like having coffee with a donor isn't really a strategy. Like, that's just busy work. I want you to walk into that meeting with an intention. I mean, not a script, but intention. You should know what you hope to accomplish while still being flexible enough to actually listen to the human being sitting across the table from you. And then after the meeting, we typically debrief. Okay, what did they say? What did you notice? Did anything change? Did they give you permission to do the next step that we had already decided on? What did you learn? Like, this is coaching. And then there's the ask. And this may be where the difference between consulting and coaching really comes clearest. So a consultant is going to help your organization determine that you should pursue 6 and 7 figure gifts. They might build you a gift table. They might help you develop campaign priorities. Like, we think these are like the sexiest things that you can take to donors. They might tell you that you need 10 prospects at the $500,000 level. That is very strategic. But now you have Jane sitting in front of you and you think Jane could give 500,000 and your stomach starts to hurt. And you're like suddenly considering asking Jane for the $100,000 because that actually feels safer. That is a coaching conversation. Why do you think 500 is appropriate? What evidence do we have? Has Jane said anything? Is she expecting a solicitation today? let's talk about exactly what you want to say. And then we practice it out loud, because thinking the words, would you consider a gift of 500,000 to fund X, is very different from actually hearing them come out of your mouth. Like, I want you to practice the number until the number stops scaring you. I want you to practice what happens if the donor says, "Ooh, that is a lot more than what I was thinking." Or I need to really talk to my financial planner about this. Or why do you need that much money? Or I would rather fund something else, and maybe something much more specific. So we work through all those conversations before you even sit in the donor's living room. And that is really the beauty of coaching. I mean, I did the same thing with Anna. It's not every day that I get a call from someone who's shaking in their car, but it did occur. And I'm glad she called. So I really want to be clear here. And this is not about one being better than the other. We need consultants. They help us be better. They bring amazing strategy. Coaches help execute that strategy. So if you're looking at a capital campaign, restructuring your development department, doing a fundraising assessment, looking at strategic planning and organization-wide fundraising programs, you need a consultant. But sometimes organizations spend a lot of money developing a beautiful strategy and then assume that implementation is just going to happen. And this is where things fall apart. You can have the best campaign plan in the world. You can have the most beautiful case for support. You can have a perfectly constructed gift table. You can have a prospect list, a big, beautiful prospect list, but somebody still has to build the relationship. Someone has to get the meetings, ask the questions, recognize when a prospect is ready. Somebody has to ask for the gift. And somebody has to follow up when the donor disappears for 3 weeks. And that's when coaching comes in. So consulting often tells you what the organization needs to do. Coaching helps the fundraiser actually do it. I mean, here's a couple more examples just off the top of my head. If your challenge is, we don't know whether we are ready for a capital campaign, then you need a consultant. If your challenge is, we know we need to meet with our top 25 campaign prospects, but our team is struggling to get in the door, you probably need a coach. If your challenge is, we need to determine the right campaign goal, you're going to go with your consultant. If your challenge is, we believe that John could make $1 million gift and nobody on the team feels confident asking him, you're going to want to call your major gift coach. If your challenge is, our entire development operation needs to be assessed for efficiency and all the things, consulting. If your challenge is, my major gift officer has 125 people in her portfolio and doesn't know where to start on any given day of the week, that's your coaching. So different problems, different kinds of support. Now, your best coaching builds strong, independent fundraisers. And here is what I ultimately want coaching to do. I don't want somebody to need me forever. I want them to start internalizing the process. I mean, at first they may come to me and say, okay, tell me what to do with this prospect. But eventually, most of my coaching clients get to the point of, okay, here's what I think we should do next and why. What do you think? Like, that is, I love when people do that. It's such growth. And coaching is not about creating dependency. It's about developing the right judgment and the right instincts and the confidence and the skill and the ability to look at a donor relationship and very quickly determine what the next best move is. That is what makes somebody a really great major gift officer. And yes, strategy matters, but major gifts are ultimately raised one relationship at a time. I mean, one call, one meeting, one thoughtful move, one brave conversation, and one ask. So if consulting gives you the roadmap, coaching is the person sitting next to you saying, okay, we now know where we need to go. Thank you, consultant. Who are we going to call first? Now, whether you're picking a consultant or a coach, it's really important that you ask a lot of questions before you hire someone. because you have to make sure that the coach or the consultant is actually somebody you want to spend time with. Nobody wants to spend time with a coach that is maybe a little degrading or doesn't return your phone calls or maybe hasn't been in the field in 10 years or something like that. So, I want to give you a handful of questions that you can ask before hiring a coach or a consultant. So, the first one is, what kind of problem are you actually best at solving? So, you want to listen for specificity here. I mean, if somebody says, "Oh, I just help nonprofits raise more money," that is way too broad. A strong consultant or coach should be able to tell you exactly where they shine, whether that's campaign readiness, strategic planning, major gift execution, portfolio strategy, making the ask, or something else. So, really listen for specificity when you ask, what kind of problem are you actually best at solving? The other question, and it's painful to me that you need to ask this, but you do need to ask this, is have you actually done this work yourself? There is a big difference, fundraiser, between teaching fundraising theory and actually having sat across from a donor, made a 6, 7, or 8 figure ask, had the icy cold sweat drip down your back as you're dealing with objections, managed a portfolio, or actually led a campaign. So I would urge you to ask about their real world experience. The other thing to be cautious of is a lot of times coaches and consultants, they actually consult and coach longer than they actually were in the development field. Like I know some, and they're bright, amazing people, but they actually haven't raised money in over 20 years. Like I personally like to always have a fractional fundraising client that I raise money for because I like to still raise money. One, I just love it. But two, it keeps me fresh. It keeps me thinking about fundraising and new techniques. It gives me, interesting examples when I'm talking that are very current. I mean, if you have a consultant or a coach who's like, oh my gosh, back in 1991, when I ran this organization, like that is actually kind of a red flag. So you need to know that they've actually done the work and done it recently because things are changing in our society. Things change so quickly that a lot of those old adages aren't relevant anymore. Okay, the third question I would say is what will working together actually look like week to week? This is especially important with coaching. Like are you getting into group calls or will this person dig into your actual prospects with you? Like can you bring them a donor situation and say, "Okay, here's Tom Smith. Here's what we know. What do I do next?" So know the access, the accountability, the preparation, and the follow up that you're going to get through coaching and consulting. Okay, this is a big one. How will we know this engagement is actually working? And here, fundraiser, I want you to beware of fuzzy outcomes. The answer does not always have to be dollars raised immediately, especially in major gifts, but there should be movement you can measure. We're going to get this many qualified prospects in this much time. We're going to secure this many meetings in the first 3 weeks. You're going to be closing 6 figure gifts within 2 months of working with me. Campaign readiness milestones. You're going to have greater confidence. You're going to move through the donor cycle faster. Like instead of a major gift taking 18 months, I want to teach you how to do it in 10. I mean, things like that. The next question is, and it's the last one, is are you going to tell me what I need to hear or what I want to hear? Just know I am toxically optimistic. I know this about myself, and I am a smiler and I'm very happy and I like to have fun. But at the end of the day, you're not hiring a cheerleader. Like you want somebody who's going to tell you when your campaign goal is completely unrealistic, when the prospect that you have been chasing for 3 years that you need to bless and release, or when you're hiding behind email instead of calling your donors, or when you're about to ask for a gift that's way too big or way too small. Good outside counsel should make you better, not just make you feel better about your job or the organization or your prospects. So I hope that these 5 questions help you. I mean, really think about who you want to spend your time with. I mean, I heard a coach the other day. I really couldn't believe it. I heard a major gift coach the other day say, you don't even have to ask for money. Just cultivate until the gift comes in. And I thought, that is not great advice. That's advice I would never give. So if your coach or consultant is telling you that you do not need to ask for money, that's a red flag. The other big red flag to me is just go slow. Take it really, really slow with your prospects. No, the people you serve do not have time for you to take someone out for 16 different coffee meetings. And frankly, people like that's just old, outdated thinking. I mean, it used to take 18 months to close a gift. In 2023, I closed $100 million gift in 7 months because I presented the need, I built the relationship. I did not know that couple before I met them in January, and I was in their living room in August securing a $100 million gift. So when consultants and coaches also tell you just to, go slow, take your time, that just means a longer contract with them at the end of the day. And I know that's really hard for me to say out loud, but it is what it is. And I always tell you the truth, fundraiser. Okay. I'm hoping that you really think about if you need a coach or a consultant. And then when you go to hire, find someone that you actually can spend time with because it makes a difference. And find someone that's done the work in the past that is really good at solving the exact problem that you have. You understand what the work's going to look like week to week. You understand what success looks like, and somebody that's going to tell you what you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear. Okay, fundraiser, I'll see you next week. Fundraiser, thank you for being here. This work you do, it matters. You are the bridge between generosity and impact, and don't let anyone, including the hard weeks, convince you otherwise. If today's episode gave you something useful, please pass it along. One share, one text to a colleague, one review on Apple Podcasts. That's how this show reaches the people who need it most. Come find me at heyfundraiser.com, and I'll see you next Friday.